are going on to our next story here, and this is about Tucker Carlson. So Tucker Carlson has broke his silence since he has been fired from Fox News. I looked for information about Don Lemon to see if he made a statement as well. Other than what I presented to you the other night, I have not found any new information from him. So that's why we're not talking about him tonight. But Tucker Carlson has some things to say. Now, I want to start with this article here from the New York Times. It says, on eve of trial, discovery of Carlson's texts set off crisis atop Fox. Private messages sent by Tucker Carlson that had been redacted in legal filings showed him making highly offensive remarks that went beyond the comments of his primetime show. So for those of you wondering if the comments that were made were true, let's see what they say here. And then keep in mind, it is the New York Times, so you got to take it with a grain of salt. Let's jump into this part. Private messages sent by Mr. Carlson that had been redacted in legal filings showed him making highly offensive and crude comments that went beyond inflammatory, often racist comments of his primetime show and anything disclosed in the lead up to the trial. Despite the fact that Fox's trial lawyers had these messages for months, the board and some senior executives were now learning about their details for the first time, setting off a crisis at the highest level of the company, according to two people with knowledge of the discussion. So now they're trying to say the reason why he was removed was because of these text messages. Let's continue. The discovery added pressure on the Fox leadership as it sought to find a way to avoid a trial where Mr. Carlson, not to mention so many others at the network, would be questioned about the contents of the private messages they exchanged in the aftermath of the 2020 election. 2 days after the board's discovery, Fox settled that case for $787.5 million, believed to be the highest for a defamation trial. Several people with knowledge of Fox's discussions said the redacted messages were a catalyst for one of the most momentous decisions Fox and its leaders, the father-son team of Rupert and Lachlan Murdoch, had made in years to sever ties with the host of the highest rated and highly profitable prime time program and a face of the network in the Trump era. The company dismissed him on Monday with a phone call from Suzanne Scott, the chief executive of Fox News Media. So for those of you wondering how he was removed, via phone. Let's go on. All right, let's go here. In the end, according to one of the people with knowledge of internal discussions, Lachlan Murdoch viewed forcing out Mr. Carlson as a business decision, just as he did the Dominion settlement. Fox had no comment beyond its initial statement announcing Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have agreed to part ways. Mr. Carlson and Brian Friedman, a lawyer representing him, did not respond to requests for comment. On Wednesday night, Mr. Carlson posted a video on Twitter speaking publicly for the first time. I'm going to show you that video. We'll get into that. So I'm going to skip this because I want you to hear the actual video. It is unclear why Fox board and other executives did not know about the contents of the redacted messages until just before the trial, which was focused on whether Fox News had knowingly aired false claims about Dominion and its voting machines. Unredacted portions of the documents, including some in which Mr. Carlson spoke derisively about former President Donald J. Trump, were widely reported on in the weeks before the trial. The board considered using an outside law firm to investigate the top-rated hosts, concerned about the harm Mr. Carlson's behavior might cause even beyond the Dominion case. By the time the board did see the redacted material, Lachlan Murdoch was already moving to find an out-of-court accommodation with Dominion, having given his negotiators the go-ahead to increase Fox's offer to the company, according to one of the people briefed on the discussions. And there's Rupert Murdoch there. Remember, I told you Rupert Murdoch is a media mogul. He's a billionaire. I don't feel sorry for Rupe. Moving on. Company executives have indicated that a variety of factors fed into the decision to fire Mr. Carlson. Listen to this. After Fox stood by him for years as he drew protests and advertiser boycotts for trafficking in conspiracy theories and narratives of white grievance, but they acknowledged that the discovery of what was in the redacted text messages was an important factor in his ultimate dismissal. So for those who were asking me, does this have something to do with the fact that advertisers pulled out because of some of the rhetoric that Tucker Carlson was using? Apparently, according to this article, that didn't have anything to do with it. And it's more about these text messages. The role that the messages produced in the Dominion discovery process played in helping to end Mr. Carlson's career at Fox demonstrates the severity of the damage the suit inflicted on the company. Fox was battered repeatedly by damaging disclosures as it proceeded to trial. If it had settled far earlier in the process, the company could have avoided having to hand over Mr. Carlson's messages and those others, including from the personal accounts of both Murdochs. Interesting. That piece right there is interesting. So, and for those of you wondering, they didn't really say what it was. It says here, one person briefed on the contents of the redacted material and said one of the messages was particularly offensive, adding to the concern at the top of the company. The Times has not seen the contents of the messages. So just to let you know, I wanted to give you a little bit of backstory there. They have not revealed what those messages have said. And I'm kind of like, I'm kind of like the show me person. Like, I want to see what it said. So before you go and back that, it's probably best to wait to see if they're actually going to reveal those text messages and see what those messages actually said. I was looking at this write-up from the New York Times and I'm like, okay. They say there's messages, but they don't tell you exactly what the messages said. And I'm not even saying that they necessarily have to show a screenshot, but they don't even tell you what was said. They just say it was offensive. So I would say, yes, JS, I want to see the text. Exactly. Like me, for one, like, offensive how? What did it say? So that's my take on that. Nikki said the messages are redacted. They won't be released. So there you go. So are we just supposed to believe what the New York Times is saying? And there's no proof here, no evidence, whether you like Tucker Carlson or not. And I'm not a fan of Tucker Carlson. We still need evidence. Now, he did come forward. He finally spoke out. And I want you to hear what he had to say. And we'll chime in.
Good evening. It's Tucker Carlson. One of the first things you realize when you step outside the noise for a few days is how many genuinely nice people there are in this country. Kind and decent people, people who really care about what's true, and a bunch of hilarious people also, a lot of those. It's got to be the majority of the population, even now. So that's heartening. The other thing you notice when you take a little time off is how unbelievably stupid most of the debates you see on television are. They're completely irrelevant. They mean nothing. In 5 years, we won't even remember that we had them. Trust me, as someone who's participated. And yet at the same time, and this is the amazing thing, the undeniably big topics, the ones that will define our future, get virtually no discussion at all. War, civil liberties, emerging science, demographic change, corporate power, natural resources. When was the last time you heard a legitimate debate about any of those issues? It's been a long time. Debates like that are not permitted in American media. Both political parties and their donors have reached consensus on what benefits them, and they actively collude to shut down any conversation about it.
We're going to pause here for just a second, and I'm going to go back because I have something to say about this.
Get virtually no discussion at all. War, civil liberties, emerging
Whoops, sorry.
Debates you see on television are. They're completely irrelevant. They mean nothing. In 5 years, we won't even remember that we had them. Trust me, as someone who's participated. And yet at the same time, and this is the amazing thing, the undeniably big topics, the ones that will define our future, get virtually no discussion at all. War, civil liberties, emerging science, demographic change, corporate power, natural resources.
Is that true? I don't agree with Tucker Carlson on probably 99.8% of things. But what he just said right there, is that true? Is it true that we are not having these discussions on mainstream media about the real important issues, about war? Are we having that discussion? And if that discussion is being had, what is the narrative around it? Because it seems to me, as long as you are pro-war, you're welcome on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News all day. But for the people who are anti-war, those voices don't have a home when it comes to mainstream media. The one person who was giving them a voice was Tucker Carlson. Isn't that something? Do you think Fox is going to continue to let that happen now that he's gone? You wouldn't see those people on MSNBC. You would not see Jimmy Dore on MSNBC or CNN talking about ending the wars. You wouldn't see him on there. You wouldn't see Aaron Mate on there. You wouldn't see Max Blumenthal on there. There's a reason for that. They don't want that message to go out. Their donors wouldn't like that. You see, unlike Fox News, where they were okay with the advertisers being pissed off and pulling out, CNN and MSNBC are not okay with that. They are not okay with that. So think about that. For just a second, put aside how you feel about Tucker Carlson. You don't like him as a person, because what did I tell you a couple days ago? Just because you dislike someone doesn't mean that what they're saying right now isn't true. Let's go on. There's more.
When was the last time you heard a legitimate debate about any of those issues? It's been a long time. Debates like that are not permitted in American media. Both political parties and their donors have reached consensus on what benefits them.
Both political parties and their donors. This is what we have been talking about multiple times. This video got 18.4 million views. This video got more views than Tucker Carlson's show that was on Fox News. What does that tell you? That tells you that by Fox firing Tucker Carlson, they have actually given him a bigger platform. His voice is bigger now than it was when he was on Fox News. He doesn't really need to be on there. He could start a YouTube channel tomorrow, and it would blow up. He could go on Rumble. It would blow up. He don't really need to be on Fox News. They needed him. Both parties are beholden to their donors. BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street Corporation, shareholders of CNN, shareholders of Time Warner. That's why the media is controlled. The corporations, they control the media, and they control the politicians, and they control the government. That's who's really running the country, people. Joe Biden ain't running this country. Joe Biden don't even know where he's at right now. Think about it. Joe Biden's not making, you guys really think Joe Biden's making decisions? It's all about the donors. We'll get into that more too when we get to the Kim segment.
They actively collude to shut down any conversation about it. Suddenly, the United States looks very much like a one-party state. That's a depressing realization. but it's not permanent. Our current orthodoxies won't last. They're brain dead. Nobody actually believes them. Hardly anyone's life is improved by them. This moment is too inherently ridiculous to continue. And
notice how he's calling out both parties now that he's not on Fox News. And this is another thing. You can't do that on mainstream media. I worked in media. I know you can't do that. You can't do that on CNN. You can't do that on MSNBC. You can't do that on Fox News. Everybody knows Fox News is supposed to be the conservative network, and CNN and MSNBC, they're supposed to be more the liberal, leaning outlets. So you can criticize the opposing party, but you can't criticize your own party to the point where your donors will be upset or your advertisers will be upset. But see, now that he's not a part of them anymore, now he can tell you that both parties have this problem. And he called it the Uni-Party, which is what we've been telling you. It's one corporate party.
So it won't. The people in charge know this. That's why they're hysterical and aggressive. They're afraid. They've given up persuasion. They're resorting to force. But it won't work. When honest people say what's true, calmly and without embarrassment, they become powerful. At the same time, the liars who've been trying to silence them shrink. And
this part right here, because we just talked about the Twitter files, right? Listen to this part right here.
But it won't work. When honest people say what's true, calmly and without embarrassment, they become powerful. At the same time, the liars who've been trying to silence them shrink.
The liars who have been trying to silence them shrink. Think about the Twitter files. It's only a matter of time, people. It's only a matter of time for all of this is blown. And thankfully, more Americans are waking up to that.
They become weaker. That's the iron law of the universe. True things prevail. Where can you still find Americans saying true things? There aren't many places left, but there are some, and that's enough. As long as you...
Independent media. Independent media. That's where you can find. I'm sorry, but it's just the reality of the situation. Let's go back a little bit. But in mainstream media, no, he's right. You can. He's letting you know that even with him, and we knew this, but he's letting you know this is all a facade. When you watch mainstream media, this is all the game. It's a narrative that they put out. It doesn't mean the commentator who's saying those things actually believes those things. Those people are reading a script. But that's what they want the masses to see. That's what they want people to believe. So he's letting you know, even though he was a part of it, mainstream media, that for the most part, what you're seeing isn't even true.
Things prevail. Where can you still find Americans saying true things? There aren't many places left, but there are some, and that's enough. As long as you can hear the words, there is hope. See you soon.
You catch that last part? See you soon. So that means he's not done yet. I don't know where he's going to go. I told you some options that I think that he could have. But that's him letting you know he's not done. Now, Fox News has had some problems since he's left. This is from Mario. Breaking news, Fox News Tonight loses over 700,000 viewers after Tucker Carlson. According to data from TV news site TV Newser, an estimated 2.6 million viewers turned into replacement program Fox News Tonight, which was hosted by Brian Kilmeade. Oh God, that guy's horrible. I'm sorry. I just realized who that was. That guy is horrible. He's on Fox and Friends. Anywho, hosted by Brian Kilmeade as the first of several rotating hosts. That tally easily beat out the competing programs on CNN and MSNBC in the same time slot, but is a ratings drop of more than 20% from Tucker Carlson Tonight. Carlson averaged 3.3 million viewers over the past 2 months. The 700K drop represents a decline of 21.3%. Yeah, Brian Kilmeade. God, I'm not surprised. Some people have also said that they have removed their Fox subscriptions. This was new to me too, because I didn't realize that some people actually had a subscription with Fox. I didn't realize that was a thing. I don't watch this stuff. Like for the most part, I go to clips that I'll usually find on Twitter or YouTube, but I don't sit down and watch Fox News. I don't sit down and watch CNN, MSNBC. I might have it on if I'm at the gym, because I try to like do my research and work out at the same time, get my run on. But other than that, no, I had no idea that was even a thing. So I was surprised by that people were paying for subscriptions for Fox. Now, Chris Cuomo, Mr. I also got fired. He wanted to weigh in on this as well. I want you to hear what he had to say. Now, Chris Cuomo is with News Nation, for those of you who are not aware.
I have very good news for you. We have news on our watch that involves our greater media culture that's going on. Tucker Carlson has released a video, and I've decided to play you a piece of it, not because I'm looking to magnify him, but because I believe that it is an example of exactly what is most true about Tucker Carlson and his offerings to you. And we have no one better to discuss what it means for Fox and for the rest of us than Bill O'Reilly, who's still with us. And then we'll take your calls. Here's a sample of a 2+ minute message he just put out.
He had to let people know that he's not trying to amplify him, because that's exactly what people will say.
When honest people say what's true, calmly and without embarrassment, they become powerful. At the same time, the liars who've been trying to silence them shrink and they become weaker. That's the iron law of the universe. True things prevail. Where can you still find Americans saying true things? There aren't many places left, but there are some, and that's enough. As long as you can hear the words, there is hope. See you soon.
So very important that he says, see you soon, which means he doesn't want to be on the sidelines, which anybody who's a practitioner of the law within the media understands means he's got a negotiation on his hands, because exactly what Fox will want is for him to be sidelined. That's what they pay for with their contractual rights. But as would have it, Bill, I don't know if you listened to the whole message. I did, and of course, that's not the part I would have played. The part that I would have played is Tucker Carlson showing an absolute understanding of how what matters in this country doesn't get discussed because it gets drowned out by other agendas. And the reason I believe that's really important for people to understand is that I have always suggested and believe Tucker Carlson knows what's right and what's wrong, and has decided to play to advantage by courting a fringe with hateful tropes and demagoguery. He knows that it's pernicious. He knows that it's disingenuous, but it's effective. And he knows it, which I think is the only avenue of legit criticism and not all this other stuff we're hearing about him. But that key part at the end, I'll see you soon, Bill. What does it mean to you?
So this is Bill O'Reilly on the right here. For those of you who are not familiar, man, he looks different now. I haven't seen this dude in a while, but he was also removed from Fox News as well. He had sexual harassment allegations, if I remember correctly. So he was another one that bit the dust. Now, Hardlin's Kid is here, says, what is Cuomo and O'Reilly doing on TV? So this is News Nation. This is YouTube. I don't know if they're on Roku or not, but it's a channel on YouTube. This is where Chris Cuomo went like after he was fired. So that's what's happening there. Yeah, really interesting.
He's going to do some social media thing like I do, I believe, and he'll make a lot of money doing it. If I were him, I wouldn't address the situation until I had my lawyers at my side, and, you know, because there's more shoes to drop here.
Yeah.
With
Interestingly, he did exactly what he attacks other people for. He mentioned nothing in this statement about any allegations that are relevant to his move, other than to say there are a lot of stupid debates on TV, and I know that because I was a participant. He's right about that.
Yeah, there's that part too. I mean, it was just ridiculous. Now, I guess because of the contract that he's under, he probably can't do anything right now. I don't know when his contract ends or whatever, but it sounds like he can't make a move just yet, or I don't know. I don't know. He probably signed an NDA at some point too, because that's not uncommon in media. So maybe he can't talk too much about what happened. But Lyle, you're cracking me up here, bud. Thank you for the super chat. I had no idea Chris Cuomo was still alive. I don't know what to say.
Well, he was smart to do that. When I left Fox, we issued a statement, my team. That statement stands to this day. And then I said, I'm not going to talk about it because it doesn't get you anywhere. The haters will hate you no matter what you say. The people who like you will like you. You're not changing anybody's minds. Joe Biden won't be able to understand it anyway. What was interesting is that there's a leak to the New York Times tonight. I don't know whether Dusty has seen this. Just came out. I have it right here. And it says that the reason that Carlson was fired, this is reason number 5,428, was because he said bad things, crude things on his machine.
That was the New York Times article that I was just reading to you. That's the article he's referring to. And I'm not sure why he calls a cell phone a machine, but okay.
And they got them in the discovery process of Dominion, and that's why they canned him. That's basically sending a message to Carlson. See, this piece was leaked by one of the board of directors at Fox to New York Times. The New York Times says, with knowledge of internal discussions. One of the people with knowledge of the internal discussions.
Wall Street Journal, which is owned by the same company, had the same kind of story. They're leaking on him, and they're trying to keep him quiet.
And I know who leaked it to them because the wording is perfect. Anyway, Carlson would be smart not to address any of this and let his legal people do it.
Do you guys think that's right? Do you think it's best that he not discuss it at all? And the reason why I'm asking you that question is because I've seen situations like this happen before where the individual was told by their attorney not to discuss it, and it actually somewhat ruined their career. Do you guys think that? It's me. Christina says, I don't think Tucker should discuss any of it. He should get his own social media account and keep doing what he was doing on his own. He has a following. Okay. So Christina doesn't know. You guys are saying no. Okay. It looks like most of you are saying no. You don't think he should. Okay. That's what it looks like. Interesting. Eric says, nah, put it all out there. I'm going to tell you about a situation. Let me let this finish, and I'm going to tell you why I asked that question.
But he has a huge opportunity to do what I've done. The Wall Street Journal actually wrote about my success today, which shocked me. And it is go out on your own, run your own operation, bring it directly to the folks, which we do through BillO'Reilly.com, Team Normal. You have the gear, okay? And talk to the people without the corporation. And in this day and age, you can be very, very successful doing it. And that's what I believe Tucker Carlson will do.
Hey, thank you for...
No, thank you. Bye. Okay, so let me tell you why I asked you that question. I think most of you are familiar with Chris Brown. He was an R&B singer. At one point in time, he used to date Rihanna. Young people in the chat will know this. There was an altercation between them. He punched her. You guys remember this? Like everyone was like, he hit Rihanna. He beat Rihanna and stuff like that. So years later, Chris Brown came forward to finally tell like his side of the story. And Chris Brown said in his version of the events that she was actually hitting him first and accusing him of cheating with someone he wasn't cheating with. Anyway, I still don't think a guy you should not hit a woman. But the question that came through was, Chris, why didn't you say this at that time? Why didn't you, at least to your fans, why didn't you tell people your side? Why were you quiet? Why were you silent? And Chris Brown said his attorney told him not to say anything. And that's why he didn't say anything. But in him not saying anything, his career kind of went down the toilet. Now, I think he still, records now, but I don't think Chris Brown will ever be as popular as he was before all that happened. It's really crazy. What's this, Hector? Hector got the scoop. Hector said, yeah, Rihanna punched him too, 100% true. Yeah, if you watch, if you could probably find it on YouTube. I actually saw the whole interview, but look for the interview where he tells his side of the story as well. Because I just think that is important for people to know. I still do not condemn a man hitting a woman, but I still say you still need to hear both sides of the story. And we didn't get to hear both sides of the story because he listened to what his attorney told him to do. So I don't know. Was that the right decision at that time? I don't know. What's up, Red 6? He said Red said Rihanna admitted that. That's good. That's good. Yeah. Rihanna started the fight. She's not as sane as people may think. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. We'll go to some of the comments and then we're going to go to this story here with RFK and Kim Iverson. Thank you for the super chat, Lyle and Bill O'Reilly ? Yeah, I don't know what was happening there. Thank you for this one as well. Watching these two talk to each other is excruciating. Yeah, that was weird. It's a weird moment for me. And thank you for the super chat, Hysteric Raider. Did you see Crystal's video on Bernie? Glorious. No, I did not. Janice says the New York Times should have shown a screenshot. They have a terrible record of printing evidence-free reports and never retracting stories after they get debunked. That's what I was saying. I said, look, I haven't seen these text messages. So until you see them, just keep that in mind. Lorshak, his Trump interview and Uhuru were too much for the deep state. Scarlett said, I bet Tucker still has a plan. He would be out eventually for telling the truth he wasn't supposed to. Interesting.